The city of Chicago never truly slept. Neon lights reflected off rain-soaked streets, while the distant wail of a siren echoed like a warning no one listened to. Beneath the city's restless hum, 3 lives were on a collision course, though none of them knew it yet. Ethan Cross was a man of contradictions. By day, he ran a small auto repair shop on the south side. Grease, stained hands, a tired smile, the kind of man neighbors trusted. By night, however, Ethan was something else entirely, a planner. Not of cars, but of crimes. He wasn't reckless. He didn't steal out of desperation. Ethan believed in one philosophy: the smartest criminals are invisible. That's why, for the last 6 months, he had been carefully designing what he called the perfect job. No guns blazing, no messy fingerprints, no mistakes, just clean execution. He told himself it would be the last one, but deep inside, he knew it was the one that would define him. Across town, Detective Ryan Hale was finishing his shift at the 13th Precinct. A man in his early 40s, sharp, pied and meticulous, Ryan had a reputation for never letting go of a case. Some colleagues called it obsession, Ryan called it duty. His wife had left him years ago, tired of the long nights and unanswered calls. The job was all he had left, and he wore it like armor. That night, as Ryan sipped bitter coffee from a paper cup, he glanced at the latest crime statistics. Petty thefts up, gang activity steady, but one number stood out: a string of untraceable robberies across the Midwest. Banks, jewelry stores, even armored trucks all hit with military precision. The thieves left no trace, only questions. Ryan had a gut feeling whoever was behind them wasn't done yet, and he was right. The third life in this silent storm belonged to Claire Donovan, a 28-year-old bank teller. She had no idea her ordinary shift tomorrow would become the center of a nightmare. Claire wasn't special in the city's eyes, just another face behind the glass. But fate had chosen her as the thread that would unravel everything. That evening, Ethan stood inside his dimly lit garage, a blueprint spread across a workbench. His crew, 2 men he trusted, Marcus and Dylan, leaned over the paper. "This is it," Ethan said quietly, tapping the center of the blueprint. North River Federal Bank, 2 guards, both predictable. Security cameras blind on the west entrance for exactly 45 seconds every night at 2:15 a.m. That's our window. Marcus, broad-shouldered and reckless, grinned. 45 seconds is all I need." Ethan shot him a look. "No, 45 seconds is all we have. One mistake, one slip, and we're done. Understand?" Dylan, the youngest of the 3, looked nervous. "What about the teller, Claire? She always works late on Thursdays." Ethan's jaw tightened. "She won't be a problem." But even as he said it, Ethan felt something stir in his chest, a hesitation he couldn't explain. The next day dawned gray and cold. Claire arrived at the bank, brushing past the morning crowd with a smile she didn't feel. Her father's medical bills were piling up, her apartment rent overdue. She told herself she just needed to get through one more week. One more paycheck. She didn't know that Ethan Cross had already marked her life on a blueprint. That evening, Detective Ryan Hale drove past North River Federal on his way home. His instincts tugged at him. Something about the quiet bank in the busy district seemed vulnerable. He slowed his car, eyes narrowing. A shadow moved near the west entrance. Ryan blinked, but when he looked again, it was gone. Maybe it was nothing. Maybe his obsession was making him see ghosts. Still, he couldn't shake the unease. By midnight, the streets around the bank emptied, save for the flicker of a broken streetlight. Ethan's crew pulled up in a black van, silent as predators, masks, gloves, tools. The city slept, but their hearts pounded awake. Inside the bank, Claire stacked paperwork, yawning. She shouldn't have stayed late. Something about the silence felt heavier tonight. The ticking clock on the wall grew louder with every second, like a countdown she didn't understand. At 2:14 a.m., Ethan whispered, "Go." The van doors slid open. 3 men slipped into the night. Their movements were sharp, rehearsed like dancers on a stage where failure meant death. Claire looked up just as the lobby lights flickered. For a moment the air seemed to stop moving, and then she saw them, 3 masked men rushing through the west entrance, black shadows against the glass. Her breath caught. The pen slipped from her hand. The last thing she heard before the world turned upside down was Ethan's voice, low and commanding. The silence inside North River Federal Bank shattered the moment Ethan Cross and his crew stormed through the west entrance. The glass door clicked shut behind them, muffling the city outside. In its place came the sound of adrenaline-rushed footsteps, muffled breaths, the metallic snap of a crowbar against the inner lock. "Marcus, cameras," Ethan ordered, his voice sharp but calm. Marcus pulled a jammer from his backpack, its red light blinking as the bank's cameras flickered into static. In less than 3 seconds, every electronic eye in the building went blind. Claire Donovan, frozen behind the teller's desk, stared in horror. Her mind screamed to run, to hide, to do anything, but her body betrayed her, rooted to the spot, heart hammering like a trapped bird. "Please, I don't have money here, it's all in the vault," she stammered. Ethan's mask turned toward her, his eyes cold, calculating met hers for the briefest moment. A flicker of recognition, like he saw more than just a frightened bank teller. "Stay quiet, and you'll walk out of here alive," he said. Dylan, trembling slightly, secured the lobby doors with chains. His hands shook, but he followed orders. Ethan needed him focused. One slip, and the whole plan would crumble. The guards arrived seconds later, guns half raised, surprise etched across their faces. Marcus moved fast, too fast. A single, brutal strike of the crowbar dropped the first guard before he could fire. The second froze, eyes darting between Ethan and Marcus. "Don't be a hero," Ethan said evenly. "Put it down." The guard hesitated, then let the pistol clatter to the floor. Ethan motioned to Dylan. "Zip tie him." Every step, every action, was part of Ethan's design. He wasn't here to kill. Killing drew attention. He wanted precision, control, silence. 3 minutes, Ethan reminded his crew, no more. Marcus grinned as he cracked open the inner access door to the vault corridor. The heavy steel glared back at them, a fortress waiting to be cracked. But Ethan wasn't worried. For weeks he had studied the schedules, the security routines, even bribed a low-level technician who unknowingly provided just enough information. The vault wasn't invincible, it just wanted people to think it was. While Marcus worked the lock with expert hands, Ethan's eyes drifted back to Claire. She hadn't screamed, hadn't tried to run. Most civilians did. But she was steady, terrified, yes, but steady. That unsettled him. "Why are you still here this late?" Ethan asked her suddenly, his tone almost conversational. Claire blinked, caught off guard by the question. I had paperwork, reports for tomorrow." Her voice cracked, but she held his gaze for a moment longer than he expected. Ethan forced himself to look away. Distractions got people killed. The vault gave a heavy, mechanical click. Marcus chuckled, and we're in. The door swung open, revealing stacks of cash, rows of safety deposit boxes, gleaming under fluorescent lights. For a moment, even Ethan allowed himself to breathe. Months of planning, and here it was millions within reach. "Fill the bags," Ethan ordered. Dylan rushed forward, stuffing duffel bags with bricks of $100 bills. Marcus moved greedily, almost carelessly, eyes wide with hunger. Ethan's movements were precise, efficient, every second mattered. But then it happened, a sound, faint, distant, but unmistakable, the wail of a police siren. Ethan's blood turned cold. How, he muttered. They had cut cameras, jammed alarms, everything. The siren grew louder. Claire's lips trembled, but a spark of defiance flickered in her eyes. Ethan understood in an instant she had hit a silent alarm before they got to her. "Marcus, pack it up. 2 minutes." Ethan barked. Marcus cursed under his breath, but obeyed. Dylan's hands shook as he zipped the heavy bags. Sweat dripped down his forehead, the red, and blue lights flashed outside, painting the lobby in colors of doom. Ethan's carefully constructed plan was unraveling. Yet his voice remained calm. "We're not done. We go as planned." The pounding on the front doors started. Shouts echoed. "Chicago PD, come out with your hands up." Claire's chest tightened. She wanted to scream for them, to beg for help, but Ethan's presence loomed like a shadow over her. "Time's up," Marcus hissed. Ethan adjusted his mask, mind racing. The vault was half full, the police already outside. No escape would be clean now, but Ethan didn't believe in clean anymore. He believed in control, and control meant sacrifice. He turned toward Claire. Her eyes widened as she realized his plan. "Ethan, no, please." But Ethan's voice was ice. "We need leverage." Marcus grabbed her roughly, pulling her from behind the counter. Claire struggled, screaming now as fear overtook her bravery. The police shouts grew louder. Ethan raised his voice, steady and commanding. "Listen up, officers, we've got hostages. Anyone steps inside, she dies first." The bank fell into heavy silence. Claire's breath came in short, broken gasps. Her life, once ordinary, filled with paperwork and overdue bills, had been reduced to a bargaining chip. Detective Ryan Hale, already on the scene, pushed through the line of officers outside. His stomach dropped when he heard Ethan's words. A hostage situation, the kind that never ended clean. Ryan's eyes narrowed at the sight of Claire pressed against the glass, Marcus's arm tight around her neck. Her wide, terrified eyes locked with his. In that instant, Ryan knew two things. One, this wasn't a random robbery. Two, whoever was leading it was no amateur, and Ryan Hale never let go of men like that. The flashing lights outside North River Federal Bank painted the street in an eerie glow. Dozens of armed officers surrounded the building, their rifles trained on the glass doors. Behind that glass, Claire Donovan's terrified face pressed against the cold surface, Marcus's arm locked around her throat. Detective Ryan Hale stood at the front line, every muscle tense. Years on the force had taught him to read criminals, their patterns, their weaknesses. But as his sharp eyes scanned the shadows inside the bank, he knew this wasn't some junkie with a gun. Whoever was leading this had a plan. Detective Hale, the SWAT commander, muttered at his side, "We've got a hostage. We can't go in blind." Ryan nodded slowly. His instincts screamed that a direct assault would end in blood. No, this would take patience, precision, and maybe a little bit of luck. Inside the bank, Ethan paced like a predator behind glass. The mask hid his face, but his voice carried calm authority. "You've got the place surrounded," Ethan called out, "but if you try to come in, she dies first." He jerked his head toward Claire. Claire whimpered, but Ethan's voice was steady. Every syllable was designed to control the scene, to make the police dance to his rhythm. Ryan stepped forward, raising the bullhorn. "This is Detective Ryan Hale. Let's talk." A pause. Then Ethan's cold reply, "Talking's fine, but remember, Detective, I hold all the cards. You want her alive. You play by my rules." Ryan's gut twisted. This wasn't bluster. This man believed what he was saying. "All right," Ryan said evenly, "then tell me what you want." Ethan leaned close to the glass, his eyes glinting through the mask. "A bus and safe passage out of the city. You give me that. She lives. Simple." Ryan almost smirked. The classic demand, but he knew better. No real criminal asked for a bus anymore. Too obvious, too sloppy. This man was playing another game. Inside, Dylan shifted nervously, clutching one of the heavy duffel bags. "Ethan, we can't hold them off forever. They're everywhere." Ethan shot him a glare. "Stick to the plan." But in truth, Ethan knew the plan was crumbling. The silent alarm had ruined everything. Now it was about adaptation, control the chaos, bend it to his will. Marcus, still gripping Claire, sneered, "Why don't we make an example out of her? Show the cops we're serious." "No," Ethan snapped, his voice sharp enough to cut glass. "We don't kill unless we have to." Marcus's jaw tightened, but he obeyed. For now, meanwhile, Ryan was thinking fast. He needed information. Who were they? How many inside? Any slip of the tongue could give him leverage. "Listen," Ryan called out. "We don't want anyone hurt, but the longer this goes on, the harder it'll be for you to walk away clean. Let's work this out." For the first time, Ethan chuckled, a low, dark sound. "Clean? Detective, you still don't get it. Walking away clean was never part of the plan." Ryan's blood ran cold. This wasn't about money anymore. This was about control. He motioned to one of his tech officers. "Trace the voice. Get me a match. I want to know who the hell I'm talking to." Back inside, Ethan crouched near Claire. His voice dropped to a whisper only she could hear. "You pressed that alarm, didn't you?" Tears welled in her eyes. She nodded slowly, unable to lie under his piercing stare. For a long moment, Ethan just studied her. Most people in her position would have begged, denied, pleaded for their lives, but Claire simply waited, bracing herself for whatever came next. "You're braver than you look," Ethan muttered, then, almost reluctantly, he stood. Outside, Ryan's radio crackled. "We've got a partial ID. Voice analysis suggests Ethan Cross, ex-military, discharged dishonorably, connected to at least 3 unsolved robberies across the Midwest." Ryan's eyes hardened. "So it's you. He'd read the reports. Precision jobs, no fingerprints, no mistakes. A ghost, and now the ghost had a face." He grabbed the bullhorn again. "Ethan Cross, that's who you are, isn't it? Ex-military. You think you're smarter than everyone else, but you've already lost. The building's surrounded. There's no way out." For the first time, Ethan froze. His name hearing it echo across the street like a curse. His mask hid his expression, but inside, rage boiled. Someone had dug too deep, too fast. He stepped closer to the glass, his eyes locking on Ryan. "You think you know me, detective?" Ethan hissed. "Then you should know this. I don't lose." And with that, Ethan made his move. Marcus shoved Claire to the ground, pulling her wrists behind her with a zip tie. Dylan yanked open the emergency exit in the back, triggering another alarm. Ethan grabbed one of the duffel bags, slinging it over his shoulder. Chaos erupted. "Back door, move," Ryan shouted, sprinting as officers swarmed the rear of the bank. Inside, Ethan and his crew vanished into the darkness of the service alley. Gunshots rang out, sirens blared louder, shouts filled the night. But when Ryan burst through the alley with his weapon drawn, all he found was emptiness. The van was gone, the duffel bags were gone, and Ethan Cross had slipped into the night like a phantom. Ryan stood in the alley, chest heaving, fury simmering beneath his calm exterior. The hostage was alive, the money gone, and the city humiliated. But Ryan knew this wasn't over. It was just beginning. Somewhere out there, Ethan was already planning his next move, and Ryan Hale would be waiting. Because the chase had only just begun, 2 days had passed since the chaos at North River Federal Bank, but the city of Chicago still buzzed with the shock. News stations replayed the footage on a loop, the masked men, the terrified hostage, the flashing sirens. Words like mastermind and ghost criminal dominated the headlines. Detective Ryan Hale hadn't slept since. His apartment floor was littered with empty coffee cups, crime scene photos, and scribbled notes. The chase gnawed at him like an unfinished puzzle. "Ethan Cross," Ryan muttered under his breath, staring at the man's military record on his laptop screen. Dishonorably discharged, strategy expert, disappeared after 2018, resurfaced only for jobs like these, but something didn't add up. If Ethan was so careful, why risk a messy hostage situation? Why leave his name exposed in the middle of negotiations? Ryan's instincts told him there was something else, something he wasn't seeing. And then the call came. "Detective Hale, this is Claire Donovan." Ryan straightened immediately. "Claire, are you safe?" I think so." Her voice trembled. "The FBI asked me questions, but I can't stop thinking about him, about Ethan. He looked at me like..." She paused, struggling for words. "Like he already knew me." Ryan frowned. "Knew you? Claire, what do you mean?" "I don't know," she whispered, "but when he spoke to me, it didn't feel like a stranger." Ryan's chest tightened. "Connections?" Threads weaving together. Could Claire have been more than a random hostage? He promised her protection, then hung up, but his mind spun faster. Why Claire? Out of all the people in the bank, why focus on her? Meanwhile, across the city, Ethan Cross sat in a dim motel room. The duffel bags lay neatly stacked in the corner, untouched. Marcus paced like a caged animal, ecstatic at their haul. Dylan sat silently, eyes haunted. You said it was going to be clean, Dylan muttered. Now we're the biggest story in the country. Every cop in Chicago is hunting us. Ethan didn't answer. His eyes were fixed on a small photograph he pulled from his pocket. Claire Donovan's employee ID photo, stolen from the bank's files weeks before the heist. A faint smile tugged at his lips. It's not about the money. Marcus froze. What? Ethan finally looked up, his eyes burning with purpose. It never was. The cash is just noise. The real prize is her. 3 nights later, Detective Ryan Hale was jolted awake by a call. Detective, we've got movement on Cross. Ryan was dressed and out the door within minutes, adrenaline surging. The tip led him to the industrial district, abandoned warehouses, rusting fences, shadows that stretched like claws. His team fanned out cautiously, guns drawn, flashlights cutting through the dark. And then Ryan heard it, a muffled scream. He ran toward the sound, kicking open a heavy metal door. Inside, under the dim glow of a hanging bulb, he saw her, Claire, tied to a chair, tears streaking her face, eyes wide with terror. Ryan's chest tightened. Claire, it's okay, I'm here. But then he stopped, because behind her, leaning casually against the wall, stood Ethan Cross, unmasked, calm, as if he had been waiting all along. Detective Hale, Ethan said softly, right on time. Ryan raised his gun. It's over, Cross. Let her go. Ethan chuckled, stepping into the light. Over, no, Detective. This is where it begins. Ryan's finger tightened on the trigger, but something felt wrong. Too easy. Ethan wanted him here, and then he noticed it. The faint red dot dancing across Claire's chest. A sniper's laser. Ryan's stomach dropped. You pull that trigger. Ethan whispered, and she dies. Not by my hand, but by someone you'll never see. Your move, Detective. Ryan's mind raced. The hostage, the gun, the sniper, every option ended in disaster. Why her? Ryan demanded, his voice breaking. Ethan's eyes softened just for a moment. Because some debts can't be left unpaid. Claire's sobs echoed in the silence. And then, in one smooth motion, Ethan stepped forward, pressing a knife gently against her throat. Not cutting, just reminding Ryan of who controlled the board. Walk away, Detective. Ethan said, take your men, leave the city, forget Claire Donovan, do that, and maybe she lives. Ryan's grip on the gun faltered. For the first time in his career, he was outplayed. Slowly, painfully, he lowered his weapon. Ethan's smile widened. The next morning, the warehouse was empty. No sign of Claire. No trace of Ethan. Just a single note pinned to the chair where she had sat. The smartest criminals are invisible. Ryan crushed the paper in his fist, fury boiling in his veins. The city had lost. He had lost. And somewhere out there, Ethan Cross walked free with Claire Donovan at his side. Whether she was his prisoner or something far more complicated, nobody could say. But one truth burned brighter than neon across Chicago's restless nights. Ethan Cross was still out there. And the game wasn't over. Not even close.